Hello, guys and girls, and Malina here. Welcome to the second edition of the Malina Radio Podcast. I originally was not going to make a podcast, but I have to make a podcast because I got bored again. I'm talking to myself, so I'm going to make a podcast. Okay, here we go. Now, today, I'm going to talk about a podcast, which is revolutionary. Now, first and foremost in this podcast, welcome to the studio. I'm doing it right live from the studio, live from the Malina Radio studio, powered by the internet cables from LiveStrap from Google. But it's not sponsored by Google because it's great. Now, today, I've been questioning, but Matthew, get a job. It's like, get a job. And I'm like, hold the phone. I've been trying to get a job. You know why it's getting hard to get a job? It's because, first of all, it's deflation and all that stuff, okay? I've been criticized of being like an Apple fanboy. I've been criticized of being an Android fanboy. I've also been criticized of being a Linux fanboy. Also, I've been criticized of being like any fanboy you can think of. Also, I've been criticized of being like a freak. I've been also criticized of being the most hated person. And also, I've been criticized to be the best person. So, I never win. I always been criticized in my life, you know, especially with my bipolar, something like that. So, I'm not getting to my life story. I think I'm going to make a separate podcast for my life story over there next time. But today's podcast it's very revolutionary. And today's my connection. I'm going to put the picture of, like, the Google car for the podcast. Or I don't know, whatever pictures come up. I could be wrong. But today's podcast I'm going to talk about is Google. Now, people are like, but Matthew, why are you talking about Google? You paid? I barely get. Okay, let's be honest. I kind of get paid sometimes. I do get paid. I do support the company. I do. So I may have a bias, but that. But here's the thing, people. I even work with Nintendo. I even work with Apple, despite like the shady practices. I work with Apple too with my music. I put music on Apple Music. So if you think I'm a fanboy of one company, I'm not. Okay, I support all companies. By the way. I develop for everything. I mean, the only reason why, if I wanted to, I could probably make games for like the App Store, but the only reason I don't do that, make it for the web, is because for it is very expensive. It's like, but it's worth it, and I'll pay for it. But it's just too expensive for my budget. Because it's very, and also Google plays up the S because it's cheap, it's affording this. Nintendo always like more expensive. There's ways around it. You can just get a Game Boy and just flash. It's just easier on Nintendo too, but you get more access and it's free first, and then you only have to do this by the developer kit. It's more expensive, but once you get the money, it's just worth it. So, and you get the access feature. I can't show it, but I'm not gonna do it. But let's say now, as a consumer, with these fanboys, I'm gonna talk about fanboys. So fanboys are just weird creatures, man. They're really stupid in my opinion. It's just being a fanboy of companies is so stupid because let's be honest. This is coming from a developer who was the same guy who dropped out of school, and also taught myself how to do these things. Now here's the thing about these fanboys, also people in society. They're like, oh, get a job. And I'm like, bruh, it's good to get a job if you want to work for the master, the boss, the master, the Bowser, the boss, you know. Personally, I'd rather be independent from the system, you know, because it's like organization technology, these proprietary codes, you know. But I'm not getting into it, but let's talk about. Now, we're going to make a video about Google, but we're going to get to that later on this podcast. But today I'm going to talk about, first part, I'm going to do 2 parts. 1 is fanboys, actually no, 1 is society, 2 is fanboys, and 3 is like the best company I choose from. Now, first of all, let's talk about society. So society makes you, okay, work hard, and you love it. Here's the thing, there's always going to be unfair advantage, and people are like, oh, you got to work hard. No, you got to work smart, and you got to make it easier for yourself. Now, okay, so to be honest, work smart I prefer over working hard. This is why. Most people think like, oh, you gotta work hard. Oh, you taught that? Oh, God, have a lot to say about that one. First, we're supposed to work smart. Also, even if you work smart, I'm gonna rephrase it more. How about being independent smart? Being independently smart. That's my motto, okay? That's how I do things. Work smart is good. But I think we can make it even better is that being independent, do the least amount of work as much as possible, but way more efficient. It's about efficiency and less bloat, okay? Because let's be honest, the world is so bloated. I was bloated at one point, you know? I remember I was watching like popcorn videos. It was really bad. It was a disaster. And I stopped doing that because I just stopped because there is hurting my brain. I was like, okay, I have to stop, you know? So people who's fanboys of these companies, 90% of the time they go watch like corn videos online and be like, oh, I love all these things. I love like fapping to Rosalina corn videos. I'm like, bruh, can we stop with that? You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I'm having a bipolar attack. Now, second and foremost to the fanboys, they're the type to defend the companies to them. I mean, now for me as a company, most companies think it's stupid, let's be honest. I have a company named Alina, by the way. I do software development kits. I love development kits. I'm a guy who loves development kits. But I'm not a fanboy, and this is why. Even my friend too. I love my friend too. I'm not in the section, not no homo. But my friend, he's cool, but The problem is he's a fanboy of Android, and I'm like, you gotta be open-minded, man. I mean, I get it. You gotta, I know you like the Android, but goddamn, please be open-minded. And this is why, also, the reason why I switched to iPhone too, is just like, it's just, I don't know, it's just more efficient. And like, I used to love Samsungs, but we'll get to the part now. I used to love Samsungs. I used to love Samsung. Samsungs were really on point. They were on point, making it open source, or not. It wasn't open source, proprietary, but at least like you could at least do. You have a headphone jack, SD card. It was better. And now, oh my God, Samsung. I'm gonna make a rant about this. Here's the rant. Okay, what are you doing, Samsung? Okay, look. You're Android. Okay, I understand trying to make it look cool, like the next iPhone, the next Nikes, and all that stuff. But God, Samsung, you're powered by Android. You're not on the same. I mean, yes, you have more powerful hardware, but you're not in the same lane as Apple. Apple, at least they could get away with it because it's actually good. You know, it's actually good. I mean, and Samsung's good too, but I mean, I'm not a fanboy of Apple personally. I'm not a fanboy of Samsung, but Samsung, I'm gonna criticize more Samsung this time because at least with Apple, yes, they do some shady practices, but at least it's actually pretty decent. And also to the, well, I hate the fanboys of Apple. I mean, they're kind of right in some cases. Like, let's say you want to iMessage someone, like, or you want to do like I also do with the SMS. I try to use the SMS with my Android to like Apple. It was hard to send a video on that lane because I remember my brother sent me a video about like a packing machine, and guess what? I discovered it actually compressed the video, so it makes sense why. This is why I switched to Apple because most of my family members are Apple. I didn't want to be that one guy, but like using Android. It's just hard. So I switched to Apple. It was the right bullet. And plus it's free too. I think of it. My mom pays for the Apple. If I can't afford, if my, let's say God forbid, my mom doesn't continue the phone plan, and oh, you got to pay your bill by yourself, I just switch to like Android. Not a big deal. Not Samsung though, because Samsung's have become. I always like switch to like maybe make a Google, get a Google, what's it called? A Google Pixels, because those Pixels, oh man, they're sexy now. Like Google's actually a very good competitor. But let's get to it. Now, first and foremost, Samsung. First of all, Samsung makes it where it's hard to unlock the bootloader, like Apple does. Like, come on, Samsung, bro. You're not Apple, okay? Like, you go. I know, like, you're trying to compete to like the normies, but it's just not gonna work. Like, oh, and the fact that Samsung made some shady commercials where like, oh, we're better than Apple, we don't take away the headphones, and then they'd be very hypocritical. Like, that is, bruh, Samsung, just stop. Not to mention they stopped the right to repair movement. And like they try to reduce the repair movement, and like I would argue that Samsung's actually worse than Apple because at least Apple, they're being honest about it. They're more honest. Samsung, they're just not being honest about it. I used to love Samsungs, but I just like now with the new Samsung, just don't buy a Samsung. Just don't. If you go buy a Samsung, you might as well buy an Apple. Let's say Samsung make the best camera, I would still go with the Apple because it's just more efficient. It's less bloated. Like, I was switch to Apple, and then even then, you just kind of get like things working on Apple. Like I remember I was the guy who used Apple, and I switched to Android. Pretty simple transition. Android to Apple, and it's just very simple. It's not a big deal. If you're a developer, you can kind of get away with it. I know some people like when they switch from Android to Apple, it's like very hard. Like, oh, I don't know how to put an MP3 file onto an Apple phone. But you just like the thing with Apple, which I kind of hate, but I love it too at the same time, is you have to kind of do it their way. So it's not like, okay, so on Apple, for instance, when you're trying to transfer like videos to like iPhone, like from a computer to the iPhone, you can't do that. You can only transfer from the iPhone to the iPhone to the computer. That's it. Only one way, from iPhone to computer. That's it. But here's the thing people don't know about. I use Orange Linux, by the way, and I managed to transfer like my all my photos from my Android phone to the Apple phone pretty simply. It's pretty simple too. So even if you lose everything, like it's so simple. It's not simple. It's like if you're tech savvy, you can probably figure it out. Now, Louis Rossman, wow, I love Louis Rossman. He's I don't know. I love Louis Rossman. I love him. I do not know him, not in the way, but you get the point. But one thing I have to criticize is that, oh, it's too hard to use iPhone. I'm like, oh my god, I have a lot to say about that one. See, I'm a tech savvy. Okay, he fixed board repairs. I understand. I don't know how to do that. Let's be honest. He's good at that. I could probably learn, but I'm not into that shit. If I was into it, he said he's not into it, but I'm not counting that. I'm just not doing board. It's not my cup of tea. I know to build computers was easy, but I don't like fixing. I could probably fix RAMs. It's not a big deal. But here's the problem with I have the same with Louis Rossman. He said, "Oh, iPhones are so they're easy, yes, but they're hard to like do what you want. They're hard to do like your way. Yes, that is true. But here's the thing about human beings: you have to adapt. You have to adapt to environments. Now, let me give an example of my story. My story, my life is also, I had two modes. I had easy mode and also hard mode. In 2012 and 2017, it was the most difficult my life can be. In 2016 and recently, it's the easiest mode, okay? Let's be honest, guys. Humans like the same McDonald's method. They want the same McDonald's burger all the time. My motto is you gotta change it up and we gotta switch it up. You gotta switch it up like Nintendo Switch. I mean, Nintendo also to let me just shut up. Let me give a criticism to Review. I love Review Tech USA. One thing that kind of hurt me in a way is that the fact that he stated that Nintendo needs to make a conventional console. I have a lot to say about that one. Review Tech USA exposed. Now, I love you, Tech USA. I donate to you. I love your content. But I disagree with that one. First and foremost, Nintendo's, even if they fail, they're not. Okay, let's be honest. Nintendo, yes, they could fail. Nintendo doesn't change the fail. Now, this is from developers and Nintendo, and not a fanboy, by the way. I'm not a fanboy. Let's say worst case Nintendo fails. If Nintendo fails, it would actually hurt the industry. Let's be honest. Nintendo, at least they have, you need first party and third party. That's true. Actually, every company needs that. But let's look at Google. Google's the biggest company, and they couldn't even commit against the console wars. Nintendo, they have more experience because, yes, they made dumb mistakes, but I think they they're not the biggest, but even if they're not the biggest, they're not like, I don't know, they have they influence the game industry. So let's say Nintendo fails, I don't think that the industry could actually be the same. It would be weird if Nintendo exists. Sega, that's different. Like, they're not gonna be like Sega. Okay, they're more like rivals against Nintendo. Nintendo, they pioneer the game industry. They pioneer how gaming is supposed to work. So, also, they were the first one to invent the D-pad. So if you say, bad for you, make the same games. First of all, Sony and Microsoft, let's be honest, guys. I'm going to be critical of them. They're good, too. They were good. But literally, they can't copy the D-pad because the D-pad was copyrighted by Nintendo. So, if you notice why the D-pad on Sony and PlayStation is like crappy, is because literally they can't compete against, they can't copy it because it's copyrighted by Nintendo. Patent, that's what it was, patent by Nintendo. It's literally patented by Nintendo, the D-pad. So that's why if you notice the D-pad on other consoles, even Google, they couldn't compete because it's patented. The D-pad. First of all, they also invented the 3DS. They also invented the Game Boy. They were the first ones. They became, I think, not the first ones, but they're the first one to pioneer touchscreen devices on basic game consoles before the iPhone came out. Just please stop saying Nintendo needs to make a console, because if they do, let's be honest. Okay, first of all, yes, back then Nintendo was all Nintendo fanboys. To Nintendo fanboys, by the way, yes, Nintendo was about the specs. They were not about like limited hardware, because back then they was about power. The reason why, like now I think they were not about the specs, but Nintendo too. I think you need to go back to specs, make a powerful console, yes, but at least don't follow like when people say like make the same thing. No, make something different. I think being different is good. You have to have innovation sometimes, because as a developer being creative, you have to be innovation. You gotta take risks. You can't be like most companies that do the same thing. Like, it's just weird. It's a weird gray area, you know. I also love Nintendo. Nintendo, they make phenomenal consoles. Yes, they make dumb mistakes in between the MCA, but I'm not gonna get into that. I made a video about that. But Nintendo innovate. They pioneer the gaming industry. So like even if Nintendo fails, I think it have a big domino effect on the gaming industry. Like let's say Nintendo fails. Like what if Sony fails? Sony big, but if Nintendo fails, I think it will actually affect even me too. So it will affect everybody. It will actually hurt everybody. So you can't say that Nintendo will fail. It's like saying how to explain this? It's like saying like, I don't know, like the car industry is gonna fail. Yes, they fail so many times, but they managed to come back up. They were bankrupt, but they still alive. You still Hondas, you know, they're not dying. There's gonna be still demand for it. Actually, Nintendo's probably the only company I could think of, and maybe like Sony, but Sony literally was built by third-party support. The only reason why Sony won the console competition was basically everything was third-party support. There was no exclusive. Xbox probably had exclusive, but even then, like, so the only reason why Sony actually won the multiple wars, the console wars, is because of third-party support. If Nintendo make a powerful console, right? Yes, like you said, but obviously still be unique. Have the Nintendo charm and still have third-party support. Nintendo will always win, no matter what. but they do dumb mistakes. So that's why they keep making mistakes. I think they messed up with the Nintendo 64, so that's why it falls. But despite that, they have so many valuable properties. So even if like Nintendo, let's say, and I've also every time, even Microsoft too. Microsoft knows how valuable Nintendo is. It's like people think it's small. No, they know. Even Sony, like Nintendo, Sony, like especially, but I mean, Jesus Christ, Microsoft was like, oh my God, like we need to buy. They want to buy Nintendo. They wanted to buy Nintendo too. They know how valuable it is. They know how valuable Nintendo is. But Nintendo was like, hell no, because they know they can make more profit. So even let's say Nintendo lose all third-party support, which obviously third-party support is more important, they can still survive. I think they will survive. It's about when. But I think the only issue, the only issue with Nintendo is that if they keep sending like DMC letters, which I get it, they're from Japan, they have more stricter copyright laws. But I don't know, if Nintendo keeps sending DMC letters and hurting the fanboys, that could hurt them in the long run. That's probably why that's where they could hurt them in that. But it makes sense. So now let's get back to Google. Now Google, let's get to the next part. Now Google, I love Google. The reason why I love Google, okay, I'm getting tired, bro. I'm sorry about this. Okay, so the reason why I love Google is Google, oh my God, like Google as a company is definitely S tier. So I made a video, I remember this in the podcast talk about Samsung, how Samsung's making like just converted proprietary, and I mentioned the Pixel. So yes, Samsung has competition against Google. You know why? Because at least with Google Pixels, you can actually install Graph. You know what? Okay, well that's been a gray area, but you can install Libra, or you can even install your own Android system. On Samsung, you can't do that. So Samsung, Samsung, just make a phone that you could actually make it modify. If you could do that, that'd be great. Okay, that'd be great. Like, yes, Google, people criticize Google, but Google spies on me. Oh, Google, what's it called? Google hates me. Google banned my account for basically hate speech. I'm like, oh my God. And then Google blocked my YouTube account. Maybe because I have a bias because I'm the luckiest guy in the world. But let's be honest, Google, well, yes, they have some criticism in the past and all that stuff. Google is probably the best company to go to. Like, they're more consistent, okay? I know, like, some people think lose trust and other people are like, oh my God, Google's bad. How much you gotta get away with Google? Like, let's be honest, even YouTube is run by Google. But people are like, it's a monopoly, bruh. This other you in monopolies, bruh? Chase Banks is a monopoly when it comes to banks. Like, the only bank I think of that actually thinks about financial and all that stuff and actually runs the whole industry is Chase Bank. That's a monopoly. Wait, no, that's not a monopoly. No, I take that back. I hate Chase Banks. I love them too sometimes. By getting rejected for them, but I think the biggest monopoly is literally BlackRock, okay? You want to know what a monopoly is that literally controls the whole world money? It's BlackRock, by the way. I'm not going after them because I don't want to get blacklisted from Saudi, but look it up. The biggest monopoly, in my opinion, besides the government, even the government too, is a monopoly, but more like BlackRock. Oh God, I can't believe it. BlackRock is the biggest monopoly, in my opinion. The biggest monopoly, BlackRock. Look it up. BlackRock owns the whole world. They even own, like, they basically where they work. God damn it, I'm sorry, my nose is fucking killing me. I'm sorry. God damn it. I'm so sorry. This podcast got awful, but BlackRock is the biggest monopoly. They control majority of like the money industry. So if you don't know what you're talking about, get back to the RuneScape. Okay, let's get back to what we're saying. Next thing we'll talk about is Google. Let's go back to Google. Google is definitely S tier. Now, if you look at the interview of setting up a chart of how Google became the way it is, yo, Google, oh my God. I made memes about how Google CEO was like pretty, is good, the best CEO. That was a joke. Brothers. That was a joke, my family members. That was a joke, mom, or brothers, or I don't know. That was a joke. I'm not gay, okay? Don't get it twisted. But that was after jokes, by the way. But Google was definitely S tier. The reason why Google is definitely S tier is because, like, they basically, let's be honest, when you think of the internet, what do you think of? Let's be honest, let's be real. When you think of the internet, what do you think of? The first thing that comes to mind is Google. The first time you search the internet is Google. The first time you think of like, how to get there, how to use the maps is Google. Even if you hate Google, you can't deny that Google has probably the biggest impact. Because Apple too has the biggest impact when it comes to iPhone. But even then, Google has the, like, let's say iPhone doesn't exist. It will hurt, yes, but Google probably could still find a way to make it work, but let's be honest. But I think Google is probably the most important company, not because I'm a fanboy. When it comes to internet, the most important company, the most important internet company. They're not an internet company, but they're the most innovation. Okay, when you have the best AI, look, even Samsung came and competed against Google. And I used to love Samsung. With it. But even Samsung, or not hate them, like don't use Samsung. Don't use any Samsung. It's a goddamn Samsung. Don't use it. Like if I had to use proprietary stuff, I'd rather use Apple or Google. Even Google, this would be proprietary. It works. It's better. Samsung, let's get out of the phone market. Stop making phones. Stop making phones. If you're gonna start making proprietary like Apple, I'm just gonna say Apple. you lost the customer. I hope people boycott like Samsung. I'm joking. Don't do that, kid. Don't do that, people. I want to get canceled. I want to get a sponsor for Samsung. But that was a joke. But I'm just critical of Samsung because I used to love Samsung. I didn't be a fan, but I thought they were the best. But like now, I see why my mom uses iPhones. Like if you're gonna be proprietary Samsung, I might as well switch to Apple. I'm just gonna use iPhone, not because. Or at least a Pixel. Like if I want to go back to Android, I'm going to a Pixel because at least I can put a custom ROM. Not a big deal. I was good for it. Let's go back to Google. But the reason why Google is definitely S tier is because they literally pioneered the internet. They literally pioneered the internet. Like every product you think of is consistent, good, on point, great. While Apple was the first one to make Siri, Siri was powerful back then, but now Siri's like one behind. Google's system, the AI division, the fact they bought DeepMind. Like, oh my God. Also, thank you, shout out to Google. Thank you, Google, for getting me to best they bought AI. Because people hate it. They hate it. There's a lot of criticism about AI. But like, people have no idea how powerful this AI will be in the future. Now, right now, they have to kind of, not the smartest, but give it 10 years. Like, this is right now in 2023. Imagine in 2100 right there. I think the AI is going to be so powerful that it's going to be indistinguishable from reality. It'll be like talking to a regular person. Like, it's crazy. I'm not getting into that. It's very scary. Sorry, I gotta sneeze. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that in the podcast. But like I was saying, Google's definitely S tier because Google, they pioneered the internet. They pioneered everything. They're very revolutionary. They saved the industry. They're very powerful. They're very good. I love Google. Not because I'm a fanboy. It's just he's as a developer too. Also, too, let's look at the presentation. Let's look at how they view, like when you look at the presentation, they still do the physical impact. Like they know what works. Like if you let's look at Apple. I love Apple too. I love their product. I love the iPhones. But the problem with Apple is it's more like a market. It's more like a marketing stuff. Even Nintendo too. Like Nintendo too. They used to have events. But if you look at other companies like Nintendo, even Samsung, even like Apple, they don't make physical events anymore. I think the only company I can think of that still do events, like you can still go to it right now. You can even go, yes, it's expensive, but it's worth it. Okay, you can at least make connections easier with Google than any other company. Well, Nintendo's more proprietary. Google's more open, despite people saying it's proprietary. Yes, it's proprietary, but I just love it. Let's talk about downside. Downside of Google, they spy on you. That's a big downside. So it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. So probably there are pros and cons. It's mostly a con. But it could be actually a good thing. You could actually use the power for good. Like for instance, I gave an example of how scary it was actually pretty good with that. How much it's actually for good. Now, let's talk about the pros. The pros with let's put the cons. The cons, yeah, the NSA, they work with the NSA, they can track you. Like that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario when it comes to Google spying you. Let's say you wanna like get a verified check mark on Google or whatever. That doesn't actually happen to me. It's a real story. The way it works, okay, so you can do a digital version, but what I accidentally clicked on, I don't know what I clicked on, but I clicked on like the physical version, like a letter. I don't know how it works, but they somehow tracked it, and then boom, I got the letter in the mail from Google. Creepy stuff, man. And it was creepy, but I was kind of excited at the same time. I was like, oh my God, I felt unique, I felt like a club. That's kind of exciting that way, but I'm getting off topic. Go back to Google. Now, Google, the reason why they're the best companies, let's look at the quotes of Sundar Pichai. The quotes of Sundar Pichai is probably the best quotes of any company. Also, too, look at his childhood, too. There's even documentaries, a lot of documentaries of how, like, he was struggling. Yes, oh God, I'm gonna get to that. Struggling when he was younger, and he became well-known today. Also, to note, Google's definitely the only company I could think of, I'm trying to think, that allows you to modify your Android, your own device. I think the downside is only the pixels. You could do it, but it's fine. Like, at least it's possible. Like with Apple, you can't do nothing of that, you know. Also, too, Google actually use Linux too. They don't use like proprietary OS like other companies. Well, Microsoft, they use Windows only, but they also use Linux too for the servers. But Google, they use Linux. Even the Android system too. They make it where Android is actually works. I'm a developer, okay? I know how these shit work. People these fake fanboys don't know what they're talking about. People think, oh, Android sucks. No, Android actually is cool because with Android, at least you can connect with Linux, and I believe Android is also based on Linux kernel, and I believe iOS is based on the BSD kernel, totally different the BSD kernel, while Android is based on the Linux kernel. The Linux kernel is, oh my god, bro. Like, wow, Google is definitely innovation. So basically, also Google don't own it's just like they work with Linux. It's awesome, bro. Let's get the Google Cloud. The Google Cloud, I'd rather use Google Cloud than Amazon Cloud. Amazon Cloud, the problem with Amazon, they're cheaper, yes, but let's be honest, Amazon, they have more, let's say God forbid you say like a shady thing. There's no defense against that. Like, with Amazon, they will shut down your account automatically. And also with the App Store, they're more stricter. I did an experiment. I tried to put the same games on the Amazon App Store and on the Play Store, and guess which App Store accepted? Google. Google, they know because the AI is so smart. It's way smarter than Amazon. Amazon, when you put it's just weird. They're way stricter. It's weird. That's why I stopped making games on and I don't make games on Amazon App Store. Like, I could do it. The only thing I've used for Amazon for is maybe like I try to not use Amazon as much as possible because I recently the news of like banning. I don't want to ban accounts. I don't want to say for shady because I can use Amazon for like shopping. I love Amazon for shopping. That's the only thing I use it good for. Also, I put my music on Amazon, so it's not a big deal. But I don't use Amazon for everything else. Not because I hate it. I think they're good. But when it comes to shopping, on point. Amazon, that's the only thing I think I'll use for Amazon for. And people are like, get the Prime. I don't use Prime. I just use the free version. It's just affordable. It's cheaper. I don't have to worry about banning. So it's just cheaper. Okay. Also, Amazon too. The customer service is on point too. Like, I like the customer service, very good. But I think that's also his downfall too, because like people on the customer service, it's like basically fake. It's a fake. I feel like it's forced. It's not like real. I remember there was a pretty girl on Amazon. Oh god, she was so sexy, bro. She definitely helped me out. She was so sexy. But I can say that for Google, which is even more sexier. So I'm not getting into that. But let's talk about Google. Google, while I love it, while Amazon customer service is better. I'm sure not better. While Amazon's customer service is good, I think Google's customer service is way better too. Actually, no, the customer service on Google, let's be honest, not the best, but it's okay. Okay, if you're a developer, you get the best customer service. Like, I'm a developer, I get the limited. Actually, no, let's be honest, the customer service on on Google is kind of worse than Amazon, in my opinion. That's probably just down because they use AI. But once again, I mean, but if you're lucky like me, if you're a developer, you get access to more things. So it's kind of a good thing because you kind of feel like the secret club. But I know, like, if you're like a small business owner, yeah. But despite the flaws of Google, I think Google's definitely the pioneer. It's definitely good. It's very good. I never had a problem. It's always consistent. Even on my channel where I almost got one, and right away they fixed it. Maybe because I'm a business, that's probably why. So if you're a business too, you get a lot of leeway too, which is I love that. Which is kind of also the downfall to the consumer. It's also a downfall, but it's good. But I try not to depend on Google too much. I try to diversify a little bit so I don't have to worry about, let's say, shutting my account. Because that's also the downfall. But Google's definitely as said also. Also too, the fact that Google motivates people to like innovate, it's good. So my question is Google a monopoly? I can't say that, but people say, Google's a monopoly. I don't, look, it's kind of weird because people say, but Matthew, Google's a monopoly. They control the, let's be honest, I think Amazon's more a monopoly. Actually, no, I don't think Amazon, no. BlackRock is more of a monopoly. BlackRock is more of a monopoly. They control, like, it's not Google's fault where they had to be so political. It's not their fault because if you look at the backstory, it's not his fault. It's really not. Not even Apple's fault. It's not even Chase Bank. The most people here criticize it. It's not his fault either. It's literally BlackRock. BlackRock controls the majority of the world. They basically have the most investment money into companies. So let's say you see something shady in the company lineup, then they will literally suspend spending. It's weird. So they suspend investment. So basically, Google, they had to invest in the stocks. Like, that's why that's why I'd rather use LLC and corporation. Because corporation, you have to buy stocks. LLC, you don't have to. So hopefully that's true. But yeah, that's why I'm independent from the system. So it's a loophole I found. So to keep safe. But yeah, don't go with corporation. Go with LLC. It's way better. But yeah, that's my take on it. Google's definitely S tier because also not to mention that making games for the App Store is also better. Also, you can even install APKs on the App Store. APKs on Android way easier than Android. On iOS, you can't do that. On Android, you can do that. It's easy. So let's say you don't want to make games for the App Store, Play Store, which is also still cheap. It's like $25, which is cool. Cheapest developer kit to get, and you get more features too. get that. The cloud is more expensive, like the cloud's more, but there's a way you get it for free, which I'm not gonna get into it, but you can get it for free for a few months, which I use for live stream, so you get benefits like that. Not to mention, if you're a developer, you get like a lot of benefits, more than Apple too, in my opinion, but it's just, I love Google, I'm sorry. I'm a fanboy, obviously, as a developer. People like Facebook is good too. Facebook, the only thing I think is good about Facebook is the VR thing, and maybe like, just literally VR. Facebook sucks, Instagram is like, okay, but it has criticized, but I'd rather use Google. Like, if Google makes a Instagram, I would rather use it, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if they collect my data, they know me so much. They even know my ID, I really don't care. I think Google's definitely S tier. They probably have voice clips of it. So yeah, Google's definitely S tier. I love their products. Yeah, when it comes to privacy, that's a big downside. Like, if you want privacy, you have to, even Apple too, when they said the privacy, you gotta go with Linux. I use Linux for privacy purposes. And go if you want privacy, go with like Tails Linux or Linux. But if you want good products, good content, I think Google's definitely S tier. When it comes to hardware, go with like Apple. Samsung, I used to love their hardware. Samsung, you gotta catch up, man. Go back to the old days. That's where your money was at. Like, don't Samsung. Stop with the proprietariness. I know, yes, Google do the same thing, but at least it's not as bad as Google. Google, they may allow you to do it, but once that could change. But Samsung, stop it. Stop. Okay. I'm sorry about the rant about that, but yeah, the majority stories. I love Google. I think Google's definitely good. Definitely S tier. Not because I'm a fanboy. Not because I think I'm gay. No, it's just Google's definitely good. It's definitely S tier. Despite criticism, Google's definitely probably the best company. Go with. It's just good. I love it. It's good. It's probably the only they already have some controversy. They already have criticized being monopoly. I don't know, man. Maybe because I have a bias too. Also, I recently saw Street View cars. Google's definitely good. It's actually a good product. Facebook, what? It's just Facebook. Just don't use Facebook. Like, Facebook, the only thing they have is social media, maybe VR. Even then, I would use Apple. If I had to use VR, I would use Apple. Please Google, please make a VR headset for me. Make a VR or AI compete against it, please. Hopefully, but I think they focus now on AI, which is even better in my opinion. So that's good. I think the AI, if they pioneer it, if they catch up. Also, too, I hope Google becomes successful with the AI, because they have the industry, they have the technology. Like, Google, don't mess this up. I'm rooting for you. I'm data testing you. Please don't mess it up, okay? I really hope you, because I think also Google too is the only AI right now that I can see like my website and also my content on it. On ChatGPT, it's good, but the problem with ChatGPT is like it gets outdated quickly. I think it goes up to 2021. Google just keeps updating. So I think Google Bard AI has potential. Maybe because I'm a bias, but it just works. This is from my experience with AI testing. So yeah, I hope Google wins. Please Google win. And yeah, thank you for support, love guys. And this is the Malina Radio Podcast. And that's cool for the show. And I'm out.